Welcome to Soundscape Crusaders,
a music discovery podcast where we pair music with media.
Join co-hosts Nate and Levi on this journey
As we dive deep and examine one song an episode, discuss what we love about it,
and then pair it with something that emotionally and tonally coincides with the song. Something I've noticed about traffic was terrible on the way home today, and so I was listening to music, and I just don't know lyrics to songs. Like even songs that I listen to religiously.
Really?
I like just listen to it as like sounds.
Really?
Because I was listening to Tech Noir, and I was like,
you don't know the words?
No, not all of them. I like know some, and then it like kind of fades off, and then I'm like, and I just like make noises, and it's like I made that realization. I was like,
wow, that's interesting.
I listen to music as it does not matter what language it's in. It's like, have you ever heard someone talk in English if it sounds like you don't?
Oh, it's hysterical.
Know what English sounds like, or like if you can't understand English, what English sounds like.
Right.
That's like music for me, even if it isn't English. Like it just sounds like
noise, or there's some like organization to it, obviously, but it's really fucking funny.
It's just another instrument to me, and
that's amazing.
The only way I can learn lyrics is if I read along a few times.
That's interesting.
I don't do that often.
That's really interesting.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
strange.
That's really weird. That's interesting.
Anyway, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I had a great weekend.
And then we saw Alice in Chains
and Breaking Benjamin. Honestly, though, so here's a fun segue. I was not really a huge Breaking Benjamin fan growing up. Like, they were really popular like when we were getting into high school, right? Watching them live gave me a better appreciation, so I started going through their stuff.
Oh, really?
Pretty much like the day after, and I was like, "Man, this stuff's awesome."
Yeah,
it's something about seeing them live made me appreciate them more, and made me
it does do that, man.
It's weird, dude.
Yeah,
and I'm like, there's a couple songs I'm like, this shit fucking slaps, and I'm like into it. It's funny how like before the concert I was like, Breaking Benjamin, whatever, I know of them, everyone knows Diary of Jane, yada yada yada. But like watching them live, I'm like, all right, I get it. Like this makes sense. Like it clicked. It's like it's like you had like an outlet and a plug just like barely connected. And then you push them in.
Oh, good analogy.
Then everything just kind of, the electricity flowed. Those neurons were fired.
Happened with, Alice in Chains I liked, obviously, but like going back, and even the songs that I did like are even better now.
Right. Isn't it cool?
Yeah, you like connect that part of your brain to that live experience and like the sights and sounds, and it's really neat.
There's nothing, I really don't think there's a lot of things in the world that beat live music. There's just something so captivating about it and so hypnotic. So
that was the first show I've ever been to where I've been out on a lawn, because every other time I've ever been to a show, it's either like in a smaller venue, right, like trees or something, and
the factory, all that Deep Elm show,
or you're like in a seat, which all of those I like being in the pit or being in a seat and like chilling and listening to it. But when you're in those situations, it's like so loud that is the experience, whereas the lawn was a completely different vibe because people are hanging out, and it's a lot more casual, and like
isn't it fun
about the music. I'm really into it. I was like, that was a good experience that kind of shifted how I feel about concerts, because we could break up just the whole night.
Right. There were times we would talk like during, AIC or Breaking Benjamin, be like, hey, but we could hear each other, we could still converse. Yeah, that's a very good point. See, I've always
sounded great.
Right. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I can imagine Toyota Music Factory is the same way because it's the same kind of setup, that
Yeah.
amphitheater style. And I mean, I've always, every time there's been a show at Fair Park over at Dos Equis Pavilion, I've always done lawn. It's just, it's a cheaper option, but the experience is still worth it. You know, does
Yeah.
that make sense?
No, yeah. No, I thought it was awesome. Like
Yeah.
that goes up there on just great experiences
Yeah.
where I like the chill vibes. Like
Yeah.
just hanging out with your friends and listening to music.
Yep.
That's really nice.
It was a cool in the moment experience. And like, yeah, like you said, it just makes you kind of like appreciate everything going on. So
Yeah. I'm 10 out of 10 experience.
yeah.
Loved it.
That was, honestly though, that was a great show.
Yeah.
Both those bands, we didn't see Bush. I saw like 2 songs.
Yeah. I didn't
Y'all,
even hear them.
yeah, y'all. I think by the time y'all pulled up, you missed. I mean,
When you have a
it
show
was
that
over.
starts at 5:30 though, like come
I
on.
didn't think it would have been them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
walked in. I walked in about 6:45. So that means they probably started at like
Yeah.
6:15, because they were just winding down. They had like a few songs left.
So they probably went until 7 or so.
I think they ended a little bit before 7. I
Okay.
listened to one of the songs and then I just sat in the merch line and I was
Yeah.
just like, I'll just wait and get a shirt, and that way I don't have to do that later.
I always go for the merch first. Just
Smart.
get it over with. But yeah, great show. I got a Red Bull in my system, which I don't drink energy drinks too often, but if I get tired, I get grumpy, so I
Mm.
drink a Red Bull. And so with traffic and everything, I didn't get home until 2 in the morning, even though
Jeez.
the show ended at 11. I didn't get home till 2.
Did y'all
And
stop anywhere?
no, we stopped at Whataburger just to get him, like we went through the drive-through, but that's it.
Yeah.
He got some food, and then I got home, showered, and I was still wired, so I just laid in bed and
Oh wow.
watched that cyberpunk anime.
I knew I'm gonna start
Enjoyed
that
that.
tonight after this,
Dude.
after a recording. I'm pretty stoked.
Dude, the animation, like I was like, oh, okay, I played the cyberpunk game a little bit. I was like,
Mhm.
like that's something I can just throw on. And I was expecting kind of the general like Netflix animation style
Mhm.
that you see in most of their anime stuff, like or even like Castlevania, Castlevania style,
Right.
which looks good,
Right. It's like, yeah, it's
but
not bad at all. We're not knocking
yeah,
it.
but man, like the animation in this Cyberpunk Edge Runner show is like top tier. Like if it's not hand drawn, they did a great job at making it feel hand drawn.
Mhm.
And like I would equate it up with like in terms of how it looks to like Ghost in the Shell or like even
Oh wow.
Akira. Like it looks great.
Dude,
So
I'll have to check that out. Is the story actually good? Is the story good?
of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
awesome.
I didn't
Yeah.
know if you were just like, oh yeah, the animation's great, but like the story's kind of like lackluster.
No, the I think the story is probably even better than the game, and I liked the game. But that's the great thing about the show is it's literally just connected in way of being in the same
It's the same universe, isn't it?
city. Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the same city, and they use like some of the same soundtracks is in there, some of the same like street lingo and stuff, but
Mhm.
beyond that, it is completely disconnected. And dude,
I'll
it
have to
got
check
me
that
back
out.
into the game. Like I like went back to the game and I was like, okay, I need more of this because
I'll have to check that out. That sounds pretty good. I need something to tide me over because I'm waiting for speaking of pretty animes, I'm waiting for Chainsaw Man to come out in October. And
yeah.
that's
What's that
gonna be
coming out on?
Crunchyroll.
Okay.
Dude, everyone I've talked to that's read the manga says it's like one of the most unhinged things and it
Yeah,
looks amazing. So I'm
that's
all
what
for
I've
that.
heard too.
And that's the same company. That's the same production company that did Jujutsu Kaisen, and that show's fucking sick too.
I need to pop that. That's going to be next on my list after I'm done with Cyberpunk, which I'm almost done because
How
it's
many
only
episodes?
10 episodes.
Okay.
It's 10 20-minute episodes.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You'll probably be done before I'm even done with it.
Probably.
If you start
I'm
it.
a
when you
binger.
start it after the first episode, just give me your thoughts.
Okay.
I just want to hear your thoughts.
I'm just gonna be like, it's pure ass. What are you doing?
Why did you tell me about this?
Nah, I'm honestly, I'm pretty easily swayed and stuff, so you can't.
It's strong. It's strong.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'll have to check that out. ASAP Rocky.
Well, anyway, let's you want to jump into the episode?
Yeah, let's do it. This is our week 3.
Week
of
3
our horror month.
Yeah, spooky season.
Yeah, our horror crusade.
Yeah, so
we have so many names for it. It's kind of funny.
This is we have no solid name, but you know what? We're just exploring any kind of music that's horror inspired, whether it be book, movie, TV, just whatever is inspired by what goes bump in the night. So it's your week this week, so I'm just gonna give you the floor.
There's a dog. I was about to say.
Daisy's. She's just scratching her bed right now. So.
How's she doing?
She's good.
She's a cutie.
She's trying to get comfortable.
Best of luck, Daisy. Yeah. All right, so week 3. This has been like a really fun month so far. Our first 2 songs were very like unconventional in a way. You know, they were very very out there and experimental in the type or in style. Both great. Both great songs, don't get me wrong. I really liked both of them. I really like both of them. But when I think of music and I think of anything horror related to music, there's one punk band that always comes to mind.
Okay.
And so we're going to be picking a song by the Misfits. I assume you know who they are.
You know what's really funny about that?
Go for it.
Just quick side note. When I was doing research for this month and just looking up different songs that were inspired by horror, I came across an article and it was 10 songs inspired by horror, and then in parentheses that aren't the Misfits.
Dude, it's so true though. It's so fucking true. When you think of horror and anything horror related in music, one of the first things that will ever come up is the Misfits. They're they're iconic as all get out.
I mean, the first image that pops into your head is that like iconic,
that skeleton face. Yeah. With that creepy, toothy smile. Yeah, the Misfits are awesome. Just a quick rundown on the Misfits. They're a punk band formed in New Jersey in 1977. This band has gone through numerous lineup changes, but some of the most famous singer is Glenn Danzig, who is a fantastic vocalist. Some of the other more popular musicians or members of the band are Jerry Only, who played bass, Doyle Wolfgang, I think like Wolfgang von Frankenstein, who's a guitarist, and they've had so many drummers come through, so many guitarists, so many bass players. But when it comes to horror in music, they are like the quintessential band that everyone thinks of.
Yeah.
Funny enough, though, the song I'm picking by the Misfits is actually not sung by Glenn Danzig, which is like kind of blasphemous. It's actually sung by a singer named Michael Graves. That's his nickname or his stage name for the band. And this is off their 1999 record. It's called Famous Monsters. That's the name of the record. I think it's the only one. I think it's the only studio album It's like one of two that has Michael Graves as the musician. I think it's that and the one before it, which was American Psycho.
Okay, so quick rundown.
Yes.
So was this change due to death? Did he leave and then come
Well,
back? Like
so
what's
in
the sitch there?
'83, the band broke up, and I want to say I didn't do as great a research this time. So the band broke up in 1983, and then reformed in '95. And I want to
Okay.
say in '95 that's when Graves was brought on as the lead singer.
Okay.
Because I want to say Danzig left in '83, and I think him leaving the band and doing his own solo career was like kind of the main catalyst that ended the Misfits. So they went from 1977 to '83 with the Danzig lineup, and then it got back together in '95, and they've been together since. But they've gone through so many numerous changes. Like I said, Graves was gone by 2000, so 5 years after they reformed, he was gone. He was only on 2 studio records. The Misfits discography, though, is just it feels like it's never ending.
Yeah.
There's I think 6 or 7 studio records, and then there's 3 live records, and then 4 huge compilations of all like B-sides and like singles and other works they have done. And they are prolific in the regards to horror and music, and they take a lot of influences from horror movies and they apply that into their songs. And a lot of like morbid subjects like murder especially are applied within their lyrics, and some of their lyrics are very grotesque, descriptive, but obviously it's all tongue in cheek, and it's all, it's not all like for real.
Yeah.
They're not promoting that kind of lifestyle, but like they're just tons of fun, and they're just.
I'm sure in the 80s that's not what
Like Tipper Gore and all those people, yeah,
parental
we're
action
going after
groups, yeah, probably
Dude,
were.
I wouldn't be shocked.
All right, so
Yeah.
what is the name of this song by the Misfits?
The song we are going to be talking about today is called Saturday Night.
Okay.
I sent the link over off their '99 record, Famous Monsters. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good song. It's not specifically based off of any property, as far as I know. Because on that record, Famous Monsters, there's songs like that specifically reference other properties. Like there's literally a song called Pumpkin Head, which is based off the property Pumpkinhead with Lance Henriksen. There's another song called Lost in Space, which is literally from the title of Lost in Space. So they take influences from movies, but as far as I know, the song Saturday Night is not based off of any pre-existing property. It's just something they wrote.
Yeah. Well, let's take a listen.
You ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1.
There's almost like a 50s doo-wop, like
he's like a crooner almost, the way he's singing. Isn't it cool?
Yeah. Short and sweet.
Yeah, it's to the point, man.
I just want to throw out, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but this cover for Famous Monsters definitely looks like a Basil Gogos painting, which if you don't know about him, you should definitely look him up. He actually did a lot of work for, I believe the magazine was called Famous Monsters.
I would not be shocked. They take so much influence from horror, and then people that have been like within that kind of industry.
He did this cover.
He did? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
They did a cool cover.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, like, Basil Gogos is, like, famous for his use of, like, color and, like, just that poppy, you know,
Yeah, I love
gorgeous.
his he did a really cool Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
It's really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I did not know that was his name, but I have definitely seen these
Yeah,
pictures before.
it's iconic.
Oh
As
yeah.
iconic as the Misfits are.
Yeah. Especially in horror for sure.
That song, though,
Yeah, what you
was pretty
think?
cool. I I love, like I said, it sounds almost like a 50s doo-wop, like, crooning song
Right.
that you would hear in a drive-in, and, you
Yeah.
know, obviously, they're inspired by that because the lyrics have, "But the backseat of the drive-in is so lonely
Mhm.
without you," and it just has that, you know, vibe of, like, a 1950s, like, driving in your, you know, convertible going up to Lover's Lane or something. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I really liked that. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's a cool I wanted to pick like one of the earlier Misfits stuff, but like some of that stuff is like the production is like not super great. I mean it's like, 70s punk. Like they went at the cheap ass way. But that was
Right,
punk. That was punk as fuck.
right.
This is like this is well produced. And Graves has a different vocal style compared to Danzig. I love both. I think both are great. But Graves has the more crooning, you know, ballad type singer, if you want to say that. But I personally love this song. I'm not a huge fan of Famous Monsters. I think it's okay of a record, but I think this is like probably top three Misfits songs for me. I just think
Oh, wow.
it's so I love like I like you said earlier, it feels like a 50s style doo-wop song. I
Yeah,
love how it emulates that style, and I love how he croons over this person throughout the song, and
yeah,
and the heavy guitar with that doo-wop style beat, like really, like on paper they contradict each other, but
right.
they mesh really well. They do a really good job. The arrangements on the guitars is so fucking good. So
Yeah, you
I
could
really like this
totally
song.
see this song in, well, I don't wanna I wanna say it would look really good in a certain movie, but I don't wanna, like, skew the conversation a certain way. We'll get to that once
Yeah,
we make our picks, but it definitely just evokes that nostalgia for, like, the 1950s that
right.
was very predominant in the 80s, and I know this wasn't made in the 80s, but, I'm sure in the 90s there was some leftovers of that. In the same
Probably.
way that, like, the nostalgia for the 80s has
It's
gone
now.
through the 10s to now.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I I mean, yeah,
I was about to say,
great
sounds like you
song.
liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, really good, and it's short, sweet. I really don't have much to break it down,
Hmm.
or much. I can't break it down too much because I know I say this a lot, but it seems pretty simple.
Hmm.
So, what are your thoughts of this song? Is there anything that you want to add?
Mm, I just think the Misfits are like, I just think their lyrics are so not asinine. I don't think that's the right word, but just the way they like perpetuate murder and like
Yeah,
all these horrific things it's they do it so well. I mean, like that
yeah,
is their style, and I think I just think of this song. It's it's about I think there's an argument. It's about someone who murdered someone they love and how they regret it, and that's just like that's an asinine story.
yeah, yeah. If you miss the first verse, the song has a completely different
Yeah, then
meaning.
it sounds like he's longing after someone, like a lover or something. But
Yeah,
yeah, if you hear that first verse, you're like, oh,
yeah,
he's killing people.
yeah. And it like, yeah, like, again, if you miss it, you missed it. And so is that the reason why did you choose this song for
For
this
horror
week?
month,
Yeah.
I wanted to choose a Misfits song because they are quintessential when it comes to horror and music. But I really think this is a good question. Hold on. Let me like rephrase that. I mean, I guess a big reason I picked it is like one of the most quintessential things in horror is like slashers and murder. And, that's such a common trope. And we haven't really, our first song was like more psychological, creepy. And then our second song was like really like haunted house feeling. We got to get
Yeah.
the slasher in, man. We
Yeah.
got to get the slasher pick in. And I think this one fits. I think this one really fits that bill. And plus, like I think like I said, I think Misfits are really important, not only for punk rock, but like for like like putting horror into music. I think they're very important, and I would have felt kind of shitty if we didn't talk about them.
Yeah. You're right. You're very right. Shit, I don't even know like what else there is to add.
What do you think the lyrics are about? You think it's about someone that's just murdering people? Because
Yeah, I mean it.
I love. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I love the
You're good.
first line. So the song is called Saturday Night, and what's kind of funny is he says there's 52 ways to murder anyone, and if you want to relate it to the title, there's 52 Saturdays in a year. So I
I
think
didn't
it's
even
just
think of that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty clever. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I definitely think that, I mean, you're pretty on point. There's not much to add. There's 52 ways to murder anyone, and one and two are the same, and they both work as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming clean for Amy. Julie doesn't scream as well, and the cops won't listen all night. So maybe I'll be over just as soon as I fill them all in. So do you think he killed someone who's singing to them, or he killed like his girlfriend, or he has a girlfriend and he killed his old girlfriend? I'm trying to like, so there's Amy and there's Julie. Julie doesn't
I
scream as well,
think
and
that
the cops,
I think they're both victims.
they're
And I
both
think
victims.
I think they're both victims. And when he's talking to the police like he's like confessing this murder, and the police don't believe him.
The police, what?
Don't believe him.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna go out there. Like if the
Yeah, I
cops
can
won't
see that.
listen all night, maybe he's like they're like he's just crazy. He's rambling. Get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. So he probably like snapped at some point and was just
Probably.
like going nuts.
And then it might have been one of those like what is it? Crimes of passion. Like he freaked out, killed his lover, and then he's like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
I didn't want to do that. You know.
that's true. Yeah, I have my pick.
I have
Are you
mine as well.
you have your pick too?
I think I'm gonna go with what I'm feeling. Yep.
All right. Yeah, same. So my pick doesn't necessarily match up with the slasher like killer vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much leaning into the sound of the song
Mm-hmm.
because the subject matter is horrific, but the tone is like we said, 1950s doo-wop,
It
like
feels
love song, like
yeah. It's a love. Like you said earlier, it feels like a song where you're like longing after someone you love, but
yeah,
it's like oh nah, fucking kill people.
yeah.
Like
And I just really like that distinctive, the two distinctive. I really like the two distinctive parts of that
mhm.
and how they knock against each other. So
Sorry. Sorry.
so no, you're good. So the movie I'm going with is not about a killer. It is a horror movie. It's actually one of the more iconic horror movies made. It stars Steve McQueen and
Oh,
Anita Corso.
shit! I was thinking of something else. Sorry.
It's the 1958 American science fiction horror film, directed by Irvin Yeaworth and written by Kay Linkater or Kay Lineker and Theodore Simons. I can't say that. Let me just restart because I can't say their names. It's a 1958 science fiction horror film directed by Irvin Yeaworth. It is the iconic, the indescribable, the indestructible, the Blob.
Play that trailer, boy.
Trailer.
I forgot Steve McQueen's in that.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what's the best.
You know, that's a pretty good movie.
I like it a lot. There you go. There's the link. Zero out, and we can watch that trailer.
Okay, hold on. Give me a sec. I haven't seen this. I've seen the remake so many times. I've only seen this one once.
I need to watch the remake. I don't think I've seen the remake.
The remake's gnarly, dude.
Yeah, that's why I haven't seen it.
Dude, there's some parts where I'm like, you see people dissolve, and I'm like, this is, and it's really well done for the 80s.
Okay,
all right,
ready?
Whenever you're ready.
3, 2, 1.
Dave, Doc Hallen's been killed.
Doc Hallen, what happened?
It's over at his place. You gotta come now.
Oh, wait a minute, Steve. Tell us what happened.
Well, I'm trying
Steve
to tell you.
McQueen
The
is
thing that killed the doc.
like
But what was it?
49.
Stop with it, kid.
He's
playing
the
like
best.
a teenager.
It's kind of like a mass that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I mean, it's actually like pretty good effects.
Considering that they're all in camera, that's like
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I mean, the Blob is a classic. Did it blow me away when I watched it? No, but is it
It's a good watch.
Yeah, it's a fun watch, and for the time period, it's pretty incredible. I'm sure it was probably built upon like the plot is so basic. It's just like an alien blob thing falls on an asteroid and basically takes over a town, and they gotta,
the government gotta come in.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like, but there's some really iconic like.
I mean, honestly, that theater scene is super iconic.
Yeah, and same with the diner, like when it absorbs the diner.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's pretty much it. It's like there's really not much to talk about because of that, but I picked it because of those 50s influences. I was like, I gotta pick something either set or from the 1950s, and the Blob is just like one of the iconic 1950s things, 1958 Steve McQueen was 28, so he wasn't that old.
Yeah, he wasn't.
He was almost 30.
He only lived to like 50, I think. He didn't live that long, unfortunately.
Didn't live that long at all. But I think it's a fun watch, especially, we're around Halloween time. If you have like kids or something, it's a good movie to watch with the kids because it can still be kind of scary for them.
It's scary enough, but it's not like overtly scary. If they watch the remake, the kids are gonna have issues.
Oh yeah, don't accidentally turn on the remake.
Even though the remake is good. The remake is good, but they're
for an 8-year-old.
That'd fuck them up pretty bad. Yeah, pretty bad. It's a scary movie. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie.
If you like older movies and you just really enjoy that kind of thing, this is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Especially around Halloween time. Let's see if it's on any services. The Blob is on HBO Max.
The original?
Tubi. Yep.
Oh, wow.
It's also on Tubi and Crackle. So if you don't have HBO Max, Tubi is a free streaming service. You just have to watch ads with it. Same with Crackle. So yeah, it's widely available. And
That's great.
The HBO Max transfer, I'm pretty sure, is the same transfer as the Criterion transfer, which is really nice looking. So that's probably the best place to go. So yeah, that's my pick. I can't really, split hairs too much with this guy. So you've seen this?
I've seen this one once. I've seen the remake like a lot, but I've seen this one once because obviously, I think I actually saw the remake first before I ever saw the
That makes sense.
The original.
Yeah.
Which that was another one that was like played on TV a lot, but I think I saw it later. Like I was like in high school, I think, when I first saw it. And it's good. It's very good. The remake, sorry. I mean, the original is really good too. And I think it's up there with like movies like the original Fly and, probably some of those old, I mean, the Universal horror monsters is like 40s and 30s, but like I think those are like really good stepping stones to get into horror.
Yeah.
Cuz they're tame and they're spooky enough that they'll like, but they won't like terrorize your children or even you. If you even whoever's listening, if you're not a huge horror fan, it won't terrorize you.
Yeah. I am not a big horror guy. I don't like closing my eyes and being scared that someone's gonna, or like a demon is gonna be in my room or something in the corner.
No Conjuring
or something. Yeah. But the Blob, I can usually do a little bit of body horror, but the Blob is like very much entry level horror. And then if you're someone that seeks out more thrills, then probably go for the remake instead, because the 58 Blob it's not scary. You're not going to be scared.
It's relatively tame compared to the remake.
Right.
But it's not a bad movie. Yeah, it's definitely not a bad movie.
Is Steve McQueen, so
he's the best. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's also only 86 minutes, so it's not like you're going to be sitting down for a long time.
Right. It's not like you're watching Ben-Hur or Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah. You're not sitting there for like a chunk of your day.
Yeah, it's basically like 1 1/3 episodes of something. Like I
mean, the movie literally starts, if I remember correctly, with like Steve McQueen and that, I can't remember who the girl's name is. They're sitting in like that car and then they see the asteroid fall. I'm pretty sure like that's kind of how it starts.
Pretty much, yeah. And they like, I think they're at Lover's Lane, and then they see the meteor crash, and it crashes near like an old man living in the forest or something.
And he touches it, and
and then they go to a doctor, and so on and so forth. But yeah, pretty much picked it for the 50s vibes.
I like it. I think, like you said when we were kind of dissecting the song emulates that very well. It feels like something you could hear off a jukebox. You like smack it, like, the Fonz, and it starts playing that. Yeah, and this is like one of those quintessential fun 50s movies. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's a good choice.
I'm ready to hear what you got.
So, I'm not actually going a movie route. I'm not going down a movie at all.
Blasphemy.
I know. I'm not even going a video game.
Even more so.
Yeah, I'm doing a short story as my choice.
You read?
I do read. Nerd! Shockingly.
It's the short story by Stephen King.
It is by Stephen King.
Hi. My name is Stephen King.
But it makes sense. It makes sense. I promise.
How
predictable I am.
Predictable.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
I know what I am.
I am what I am, and that's all that I am.
Exactly.
I'm Popeye the Sailor
Man. So the story I'm choosing is a short story called The Man Who Loved Flowers.
Okay.
And you can find this in the horror or the short story collection called Night Shift. It came out in 1978. I want to say this story was published in 77 though. I think it was part of it. It was one of those like probably raunchy magazines, like a Playboy style, like shorts, they have those in there as well.
Yeah.
Actually, let's see, what story? So it's called The Man Who Loved Flowers. Okay, so this short story was first published in 1977 in August in a magazine called Gallery, which is an adult magazine. That's all I need to say. Y'all know what that means. So in this story, it takes place with a young man who's buying flowers for his lover. And he stops at a flower vendor I think it's in New York City. It takes place in like the Bronx or something, down in New York City. And it's this young man, this nice, well-dressed young man who is walking to a flower shop buying flowers. And as you follow this man walking, doing his little trip to the flower store, other things are happening. Like there's like radios being played. There's like other stuff going on. And he's buying these flowers for this girl named Norma. It's this woman he's madly in love with. He's like, oh, I want cheap flowers because Norma doesn't like big spenders. And so the vendor convinces this young man to buy 6 roses, half a dozen tea roses.
Okay.
And then he's just walks on his merry way. People are commenting, oh, look at how happy and how in love this man is, because he seems very chipper. And he's got flowers. You're usually bringing flowers to your partner or someone you love.
Right.
He turns down an alley and he finds Norma. It's getting darker in New York City, and you know how alleys are in between giant buildings. And as he's walking up to her, this woman, he calls her Norma. And in the short story, she says, who are you talking to? That's not my name. And out of the flowers, or not out of the flowers, but out of his pocket, he pulls a hammer out and murders this woman in the alley. And in the beginning of the short story, like I said, there was radios playing and like TVs playing. They're talking about how a woman's body, like a couple women's bodies have been found spread throughout the city. And he murders this woman. And then, so it's implied that Norma was his lover, but she died 10 years ago. They don't say why. It could have been an illness, could have been whatever. And in his grief, he's murdering people.
Interesting. That's a pretty good one-on-one comparison with the song, I feel like.
That's why I couldn't not use it.
Yeah.
What I think is pretty interesting about this story is this is like one of Stephen King's earlier works, so you can he's still kind of like really kind of finding his groove. And it's a short read. It's probably like a few pages. It's not that long. In Night Shift.
Where can you find it?
Night Shift is the name of the short story collection. There's an audiobook of it, and you can buy a paperback hardcover. Night Shift is super easy to find.
Okay.
If you want to read this one, it is a pretty good one, but I mean, in that collection alone, there's better ones. I think there's a lot better short stories. The 3 I would definitely check out are The Boogeyman, which is one of the scariest stories I've ever read in my life, ever. Probably the scariest. Quitter's Inc., which is fucking crazy. And then Graveyard Shift. Those are the 3 I really like from that short story collection. But I think what I really think I like about this story is how, and I mean, it's kind of predictable that, oh, this is the man that kills her, but I like how it subverts your expectations. Because honestly, if Stephen King didn't write about how these radios were talking about these women's bodies had been found, throughout the city, you probably wouldn't expect this.
Right.
I mean, it's a very interesting take on being in the head of a murderer or someone who's lost themselves in grief and they commit atrocious murders or atrocities. But like in the song, it's a man who's, potentially murdered his lover and murdered people. This is what this character does in the short story. And I think it, like, literally, like you said, lines up pretty perfectly.
And I can see the juxtaposition of, you know, obviously I haven't read it, but I would imagine the story brings you in by making you feel empathy for him, for his loss.
Well,
And
that and like,
then,
well, you don't find out about his loss till the end. Like he
oh,
goes
you
through
don't?
it because
Okay.
he's like talking to this woman as he's like murdering her. And in the beginning of this story, he's like this chipper man, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's in love. He's so happy," and he seems happy.
Right.
And then it kind of gets into that
Crazy pants.
Yeah, pretty much.
Crazy.
There's a really funny line. So when he leaves the alley, he walks by a couple, a woman and her partner, her man. And if I remember correctly, hold on, let me just pull it up. It's the the last line's really funny. So he passes this middle-aged couple right on the street.
Yeah.
And the woman turns to her partner and asks, "Why don't you ever look like that anymore?" Because he looks happy. He's dressed in a suit, and it's a weird little. It's a fun, well, not fun, but it's an interesting little story. But it's not. I don't even think it's top half of the Night Shift. Night Shift has
way
a lot.
To sell it, Nate.
I know. I might not keep that.
So
in
the
there.
Night Shift in general is worth reading.
Night Shift is definitely worth reading for sure. And I mean, maybe I just didn't, wasn't as big of a fan of this one because it's not that I don't like it. I think there are better ones in this collection that are worth checking out prior. There's Gray Matter, which is really good. Jerusalem Sod is really good as well. The Mangler's really interesting. Trucks, the movie Maximum Overdrive?
Yeah.
It's based off a short story called Trucks, written by Stephen King. Okay. That's in this collection.
But
Children of the Corn is in this one as well. So it's not that the Man Who Loved Flowers is bad. It's going up against some heavy hitters, even for Stephen King's like short story collection.
Right.
So, it's not that it's bad. It's good, but the Ledge is really good. There's like Strawberry Springs really good. Ledge is really good. Yeah. So, but that's my choice. I picked a short story. I don't know how I'm going to edit this in, like I don't have a trailer or anything. We don't watch anything.
You don't need a trailer for it. Just have the conversation. It's nice and fun. But I mean, yeah, I think your pick definitely matches up with the song the best.
Right. But maybe you have a really good tone. You match that tone really well.
Maybe like, it's the week before Halloween. Listen to this song while you're reading the short story. And then get up, maybe get some hot cider, splash a little bit of rum in it, then sit down and watch
The Blob.
So that's how I would make that night. Or do you read after The Blob?
Does The Blob end on a happy note? Because The Man Who Loved Flowers isn't really a happy ending. He obviously murders that woman.
I feel like the later it gets, the less I want to read.
Read first. Yeah. I'd say listen to the song, read, because it's a short read. It's a very, very short read. You could read that in like probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30, 45 minutes. I have it on audiobook, and I think it's like one of the shorter stories in that collection. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'd read and then finish with The Blob. I think that'd be a good way to end the night.
So all in all, your night would be over within 2 hours if you can read that in 30 minutes, and then
just like this episode,
less than 90. Yeah. It's gonna be a short episode, but that's okay. I like the short ones. Makes editing easier.
It does.
Anyway, man, that's it for this week. We have one more week of spooky October things, and then I don't know what we're doing for things or November, but
this was a fun episode. It was just like the song, short and sweet, to the point.
Short, sweet, to the point. That's how I like it. So let's just drink some hot apple cider with some rum in it and enjoy these.
Cozy up.
Yeah.
Read a nice little short story and watch a fun 50s horror movie.
Sounds good, man. I'll drink to that.
Amen. End episode. Alrighty. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Sound Crusaders, and also follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Soundscape Crusaders. Until next time.